Welcome to the personal trainer experience where we get real about what it's like to live, breathe, and survive in the fitness world. No fake gurus, no sugarcoating, just real conversation with real trainers, swapping stories, lessons. I'm your host, Hector Sanchez, owner of the Training Notebook, some trainer with 15 years experience. Let's jump into it. All
Mhm.
right. So today's guest is someone I used to work with back in the day. And I both put in our time at Equinox in New York City, finding it out with clients before Instagram made everyone a fitness expert. Just not another trainer who stumbled into this. He's lived it. He grew up, bounced around the Bahamas, Saudi Arabia, Trinidad, studied geophysics before deciding he'd rather rebuild people than study rocks. He's competed in powerlifting, coached private clients across New York and Florida, and now he's building something new out of Bali with his Villa Kismet Fit project. This guy's packed more experience into one life than most people get in three. Let's get into it with John Jeffrey. How
That,
you like
that's
that?
that's really that's cool. Yeah, yeah, I like it.
So I got some questions for you about your origin story and your background. All right. So what originally got you into fitness training? Was it you grew up as a chubby kid, or have you always been athletic, or did something happen in your life that pushed you into fitness?
I was always a skinny kid, so I started lifting when I was younger. When my parents bought me a bench and weight set, those the concrete filled plastic weights with a really thin, metal bar that the ends you have to put on, and you have to take like a wrench to screw the ends on. So it was one of those, and I started lifting when I was maybe 13 or 14 because I was skinny and didn't want to be skinny anymore. And I continued lifting throughout my entire life just because I never wanted to get back to being that like skinny person. Like being bigger became a part of my identity. So I just always wanted to be the like bigger guy. In terms of doing it as a profession, it was actually because of my wife, Shaz.
I don't know if you remember that, but I did your assessment. Remember?
Yes, yes, yes.
Do you remember?
Yeah,
And then
yeah, yeah, yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
almost, I think you almost passed out. I remember, because dude, I even took it easy. I was like, this, I think I did squats and like chest press, but like I did like a circuit of three. But I remember you getting lightheaded. I was like, oh man. But like, oh yeah, so why do those kind of circuits?
I I think yeah, just the training in that style. And I mean, before I joined Equinox, my knowledge of training was just from like reading Muscle and Fitness. Looking back at it now, like I mean, I didn't know anything about anything. I was just doing kind of like nonsense, and that's why um I had been lifting for so long and had not been getting any results. I was just kind of like spinning my wheels.
What were you for work before you became a trainer?
I was pursuing like a graduate degree in geophysics. So during the summers, I would do internships at oil companies. So I would work at BP in the exploration department, working with other geophysicists. But in doing the work, I realized that I didn't like it. It's repetitive. It's pretty boring. The people weren't super interesting that I was around. It's kind of like you're in an office and you're in front of a computer and you're kind of doing the same thing over and over again. Just wasn't really my vibe. I just decided that's what I didn't want to do. I didn't know what I was going to do instead. Then I met Shaz, and we got married, and then everything changed.
Your training style? Are you like old school, hardcore? But it sounds like you're new tech driven or somewhere in the middle when you're training clients.
Um, it varies, but I found I'm becoming more and more old school. You remember in the beginning at Equinox where you're like learning all these new certs. There's the Viper, and then there's Animal
Oh
Flow,
yeah.
the foam roller, get certified in using the foam. I think in the beginning that was all exciting because you're like learning all this new stuff, and I was excited to do it and then integrate it with what I was doing with my clients. And then the longer I did it, the more I started to kind of come back around to just like the basics, relearning how to do the basic things like my squat, the way I bench press, the way I deadlift, being really strong was really important. So the amount of weight on the bar was the most important thing. I was really focused on getting my squat from 300 pounds to 400 pounds, trying to squat 500 pounds. Now that's not stuff that I think about, but I think it was really useful going through that journey. like seeing what it was like to train as an athlete trying to compete in strength, and how those training sessions felt, and how it felt afterwards, and how I looked, and the kind of comments that I would get informed what I would do after, and how I train now. Now I'm much older. I'm much more sensitive to getting injured, and I have a better understanding of how hypertrophy works and how to build muscle.
I think after a while, you always go back to the basics, right? Squats, chest press, shoulder press, deadlifts, right? Yeah, I've been doing squats. I just do squats. That's all I do. I do squats. I've been doing front squats, deadlifts, lunges, right? That's it for legs, and then chest press, shoulder press, and row pull-ups. That's it. And then, so I wish I knew that back in the day, and yeah, and then you just stick with it, and then you don't have to think so much. And if you just stick with those like 7 or 8 exercises, I think you're good. If you do those for the rest of your life, right? You're good. And when you're training clients, you don't have to do all these fancy exercises, especially if it's somebody new. All they need is, I think the main goal would be just to get them into the gym. Just get in the gym. That's it. Get in the gym. And then I was thinking about this earlier. As a trainer, that's kind of your job, just to get them in the door, have a good time. You got to
Don't injure
convert
them.
them from a non. You got to convert them from a non-fitness person to a person that wants to go to the gym, and that's hard. That's super hard. So if you could just do that, if they become comfortable at the gym, people are scared about the gym. We don't see it, right? But people are scared to go to the gym, man. They go in there, they see all these weird machines and people dropping heavy weights, and girls that got video cameras everywhere. So it's definitely intimidating. So what's your ideal client, or who do you usually end up training?
I usually end up training people that are wealthy, people that are very smart. They are good at what they do. They have very little time to try to figure out this stuff on their own. So they want to get help to figure out this like training stuff. So my clients tend to be like lawyers, or people in like some sort of like sales job where they earn a lot of money from their sales, but it also means that they're super busy, and they can carve out 2 or 3 hours a week to come to the gym, and they want to know that by coming to the gym and seeing me, they're doing the best things that they can be doing with their time
Yeah.
at the gym. So usually those kinds of people are the ones that gravitate towards me, because I'm I don't try to sell anything. They just usually see me as someone that can like help that can help them. And once we see if we gel with our like values, and then usually they remain clients for good. So the clients that I have now in Florida, I've had since I moved here 10 years ago.
And then, so I'm guessing they're probably in their fees, right?
40s and older. I have one guy that's he's a lawyer, works super hard, but he's in his 60s. But he works crazy hours. He works 7 days a week, and during the week he will go into work in the morning and come home late at night.
Oh,
He works super duper hard, but he's been a client for a long time, and he's in really good shape compared to all of his contemporaries that he spends time with.
and then I also see on your Instagram that you train your wife as and your daughter
Mhm.
Yazi. So what's it like training the family?
Training the family is hard, because I think with clients, when I'm used to people just doing what I say, with Shaz, there's a lot more complaining. It's just, I mean, it's hard. I mean, it's with Yazi, it's a little bit easier because I'm her dad, and it's more like she sees it more like chores. This is something you have to do. this is not some sort of negotiation. You can make them experience what you want. Like it can be a good experience or a bad experience, but like it's going to happen. And I think she's recognized that, and she's also started to see the results. So she's getting stronger. She's like she likes how it feels to have biceps and triceps when she flexes. She's like, oh wow, like this is cool. So it's getting a bit easier with Yazi, but with Shaz, it's still tough because when things get hard, I am motivated, and Shaz is not like that. When things get hard, she needs to take her mind somewhere else in order to like get through it, which makes it hard for her to do the things that I'm asking her to do, which is like really
Yeah,
focus and think about like
yeah.
all of the little details so that she gets better the at the skill of lifting. Like lifting is a skill, like a squat and a deadlift and all these things. These are skills.
Let's get into interesting conversation. Have you ever fired a client, or have you ever been fired by a client?
Yeah, I got fired by clients in New York. There was one lady that I was training, and I trained her for a while, and then she wanted to work with someone else, and she started working with a Ron. Remember she started working with him, and I remember that. I remember being a little bummed out at first, but then I saw the stuff that Ron was doing, and he just does stuff completely different to what I was doing, and Ron was just a completely different person. Like Ron is literally completely different to me in how he talked, his mannerisms, in his energy, in what his training was. And I think that made me realize that it's probably going to happen more, and that it's fine, and that there's plenty of people who need trainers, so that I don't need to have this kind of like famine mindset of, oh no, I had this client, and now this client has gone on to someone else. And I think that made me a lot more confident in the trainers that do stick with me, that they they do align with me as a trainer. I don't often have to fire people. I've done like the the complimentary sessions with people, and I know immediately that, oh yeah, this I have no interest in training this person.
Why?
Uh,
Well,
it was
what are some reasons?
it was that they wanted to talk way too much, and that's not something that I really want to do a lot of. Like I don't want to talk a lot. They weren't interested in getting better at any of the things that they were doing. Like they were more interested in making things easier, so that the session would take less bandwidth on their part, so they'd have to put less effort in.
Yeah,
And I knew immediately, this is not how I want to spend
yeah,
my time, like working
yeah.
with people like that.
Right. There's some people that want to put minimum effort, right?
Yeah, and still expect results. And I know these are the people that would then blame you for not having results.
Recently, here, I was training somebody for a couple months, uh, and yeah, I had to fire them because they would just talk too much, and it wasn't just talking. All they did was complain for like 60 minutes because actually she would show up late and then want to stay late. But the whole time it was complaining. I just remember every after every session I would feel drained. You train somebody for a weightlifting competition. What was that like?
So I have this one client who lives really close to where I live. So this is a couple that started training at the gym where I work here. The wife works super hard and is super motivated to do whatever it is that I suggest that we try. And she had no background in lifting. She used to run and just kind of do just kind of random stuff, but she didn't know anything about anything. So we started with just the basics: just learn how to squat, learn how to deadlift, overhead press, bench press, all these kinds of things. And we did that for a long time, and then I was, okay, well, how about, do you want to go through like a powerlifting training cycle? Like, does that sound interesting to you? Let's do a powerlifting training cycle, and let's see how strong you can get. And we went through a power training cycle. and she really liked it. And we went through a couple cycles where she was deadlifting 175 pounds and squatting 140 pounds and bench pressing, I can't remember, 80 pounds. I mean, a lot of weight for someone her size. Someone who she's my age. She's early 40s. They have 3 kids. She's super busy doing all of the household mom stuff. But she trains super hard. Would you be interested in trying weightlifting? I can show you what it is and you can try it and see, and it could be fun. And so I showed her how to snatch and I showed her how to clean and jerk. And she, at first, it was just like once a week, we would practice it a little bit, or during our like conditioning like portions of the workout at the end, and that was a lot of fun. She had to get the shoes and the singlet, and you go for weigh-ins and you're in the back room and you're warming up. And I don't know if you've ever done like a weightlifting meet, but there's a lot of timing involved in how you warm up, because you want to be warmed up and ready to hit your opening lift, but you don't want to waste too much energy warming up. So you have to kind of like look at how many people are lifting, look at how many lifts before her lift, and you have to time it and how
Oh,
many warm
wow.
lifts she is going to do. And her last warm-up lift has to be 3 minutes before she goes out to do her opener. So you're like looking at who's lifting, listening to when the weight drops, looking at how much weight is on the bar. And so it was a lot of fun, and competing is a different experience to training. And I know that from experience as well. So I wanted her to have that experience going out onto a platform in front of people. There's a clock counting down. There are like all these people putting like weights on, changing weights. There are judges there. There's an announcer there.
Well, what's her name?
Her name is Cara. She's pretty awesome.
All right, cool. So I got some other questions for you. What's your take on the rise of social media fitness influencers, especially these like young 25-year-old giving expert advice?
Social media is a game, and in order to win, there are like things you need to do. I just see it as people playing the game and doing their best to try to win. I don't think necessarily that all their advice is going to be bad, or they're going to be saying things that would necessarily be different from what I would say. I acknowledge the fact that playing that game I don't think is easy. So I don't assume that what they're doing is simple or super super easy. I just know that that is not anything that I'm interested in doing. So I kind of sit outside. I kind of look at myself as being not even related to that kind of stuff, and
Right.
I'm just observing from the outside. So get what social media is. It's like grabbing aspect of everybody's life. The value is in having people's attention. You can get an idea of what people pay attention to just based on what you see all these influencers doing. So I think that they all dress in a certain way because that's what they found gets the most attention. So if I wanted to be a successful social media trainer, I would have to change a lot about what I do. But that's not what I want to do. Like I don't want to do that. And I'm lucky in that it's not necessary for me to do that. So that's also something that's really important. Like I don't know the circumstances of all these other people. But if I had to try to make the most amount of money from being a trainer, it wouldn't be training the way I train people now. It would have to be different.
Yeah, with training, there's a limit of how many people you can train per day
Yeah.
and per week, and how
Yeah.
much you can charge. So there's always like a ceiling in training. Yeah, so you got to figure out a way to live within your means, or figure out a way to make money, more passive income by selling something.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
actually, so that's why I came up with the app with the trainer, because like I remember just thinking, it's like, all right, I'm always gonna have to be training, and I wanted to travel. I remember that was one of the reasons I started it.
Yeah. I remember that. I mean, when you had the app, there was nothing else like it. That was cool.
Going back to the influencers, but you know what? As long as they are helping people get fit, right? It's good, right? But I just don't like it when if they're gonna false advertise stuff. You know what I mean? Like it gets clicks, but it's not effective at the workout. So that, yeah. So that's my take on it. Or who's your biggest mentor or fitness person you look up to, either in fitness or in life? I kind of read their books or watch their podcasts or whatever. It would be like Joe Rogan,
Uh,
Jocko Willick, David Goggins,
uh-huh.
Andrew Huberman.
Uh-huh.
There's this new guy called Dr. Mike from RP Strength.
RP Strength, yeah,
Yeah,
is Rotel.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I've listened to a lot of the Who and podcasts. Found all that stuff very interesting. When I first started getting into powerlifting, I read Starting Strength. That's a Ripato's books, and I went to his seminars on powerlifting. So that was a big part of my life for a while. There are some weightlifting coaches. There's one lady called Gabby. I forget her last name, but he has like a company called Venus Weightlifting, and I really like her style of coaching and of lifting, which is the Chinese style, which is all about being relaxed, being efficient, being smooth, being balanced. And then there's what's his name? The supple leopard guy. I remember reading his book and um doing a lot of that stuff. I don't do it as much anymore, but that idea of wanting to improve the quality of your muscles and connective tissue, that's always stayed with me. So that's something that I think about. I can see that there are a lot of influencers are starting to kind of pair themselves with more established, more real kind of fitness people. So I see a kind of transition from like influencers just kind of, all kind of saying bro sciencey type of stuff to more collaborating with people that have a lot of experience and know what they're talking about, and kind of using their platform to kind of share better info in. So I hope that's a trend that continues to happen more.
Like those guys, man, they put a lot of useful information. I remember back in the day when I had to figure something out, I think I would have to look it up on NASM. Oh, that's what we would do. We would buy
It was
books,
it would buy
like Starting
books,
Strength. Yeah. Or you
starting
go to
strength or
conference.
like 531. Oh yeah, or like conferences.
Yeah.
Anytime.
Oh, so what do you use to like organize your programs? Are you like paper pen? Like a lot of trainers use Google Sheets or they use apps.
So I use Google Sheet, and I use this the RP hypertrophy app. So between those two.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get you to try my app when it's launched.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I get your opinion on. Yeah, it's taking longer than expected. It's supposed to take 3 months to build, but what I've learned over the years is if they say 3 months, it's going to be 6 months. So, and they just told me it's going to take 3 more weeks, which probably means 6 more weeks. But at least these guys that I'm working with now, they're a lot better than my old dev team.
Yeah. Hmm.
So I'm adding like a feature, like a page. It's called My Number. Every month, your client is going to get a chance to give you a review.
Mm.
So, and then they could write it. They'll write your sessions are good or they're bad or whatever, right? They'll rate you from 1 to 5, and then you accumulate that into your overall rating. So then you see how well you're doing. So because sometimes you don't know when one client is not happy or when they are happy, or maybe the sessions are too hard or too easy.
Yeah.
But if they once a week they get to write a review, I think that would be beneficial because then you could adjust
Yeah, yeah. Based
your
on
training.
based on feedback, right? Yeah, yeah.
Huh. And then I'm
Yeah, that
also
sounds
adding
that sounds
a feature where you enter in how much money you want to make per year. You
mm,
want to make $100,000, so then you got to make X amount of money per month, and you charge a certain amount of money. And so you got to do X amount of sessions, and so it's all calculated there. And then for every session you do, it gets added into your overall, I guess, value
yeah.
of how much you're making per month, and then you see how close you are to your goal. Then I'm also adding some analytics of how many active clients you have, how many clients fell off, how long have you been training one client, if like 3 months, 6 months, and so on. Yeah, so like I'm trying to add some features that or some info that I wish I knew back in the day, like like projection. Like
Yeah.
even though it's let me see. It's a pain in the ass to make. I remember those meetings were a pain in the ass, but now looking back, I'm like, you're like, I gotta do many sessions a week to hit my goal of making
Yeah.
X amount
Hmm.
of money per year. So I'm adding all these cool features, which hopefully the app comes out soon. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, sounds cool.
I'll let you know.
Uh-huh.
All right, but all right, so let's wrap this up. But I got a little lightning
Mhm.
round.
Okay,
All right, just you gotta say overrated or underrated. All right, for training for regular clients, right?
okay, right.
Training to failure, overrated, underrated.
That's overrated.
All right, yeah, 'cause like regular clients, they're not competing. This is
No,
that's how you
that's
get injured.
and it's super hard to do. That's super hard. Like that's
All right, another one. Training uh, heavy deadlifts for regular clients under 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 3 to 5 reps.
overrated.
Yeah, yeah. There's no need. That's one
Yeah.
exercise that you can totally get injured.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Uh, the risk is not worth the reward.
Yeah. And there's so many other things that you can do instead.
All right, diet sodas, overrated, under.
I used to be very against diet soda, but now I've heard that it's not a big deal. So I'm really not sure. I don't I drink a lot of sparkling water, which I think is kind of like the new diet soda. And I don't know if like the last I heard was that maybe sparkling water is bad for your teeth because it's like really
Really?
kind of like yeah,
Oh
yeah.
man.
I definitely drink a lot more when I'm drinking sparkling water.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah. Like I'm a big fan of Diet Coke. From all the research I've done, is it's not that bad, but it's not ideal.
Yeah.
Water is better, of course,
Yeah.
but if I'm gonna drink something, I'll pick a diet soda. But unless I'm drinking a beer or something. Yeah. Yeah. Ice bath, overrated, underrated.
I think it can be a little bit overrated, but I do enjoy them. And I think that it's a fun thing to try out. Like it's very challenging. It's like this combination of like being torture but also being nice. But I think that it being like a necessary part of being fit and healthy, like I'm not sure about that. But what do you think?
I like them. It makes you tougher,
Yeah.
somehow. Like it's if you're doing things that make you that aren't comfortable, and then when things get hard, like, oh, it's not that bad. It's not as bad as the ice bath. So I think it's probably properly rated. All right. So tell us about Villa Kismet Fit.
Shad and I had been traveling to Bali a bunch over the years, and because Bali is so far away from this side of the world, whenever we would go, we'd always stay for an extended amount of time, like 6 weeks. And a big part of our lifestyle is exercise, and what we noticed is that when we were spending time in Bali, by the time we got up, got to the gym, worked out, showered, and then we're kind of like ready to like do something else, like half the day was gone. So we wanted to have a place in Bali where we could wake up, do yoga, work out, and like get all that stuff done and still have a lot of the day left. Good, because when we want to use it, it's there, and then when we're not there, it should be able to easily get rented out as like an Airbnb. So we found some land that we liked. We went through the process of designing the villa, and then over a couple years, the villa got built.
So final wrap up. If you could go back to day one as a trainer, what would be one piece of advice that you would give yourself?
Day one. Don't be so worried about trying to get really good really fast because I don't think that's possible. I think
Because you need experience.
you need experience. You can't rush the experience.
Yeah, and you got to train different types of people, right? You got to, right? Because you're not always going to get that go-getter who like says yes to everything. It doesn't fight back. Yeah, you got to know how to deal with people who, for them, this is a chore. So it's tricky to get people that think it's a chore to think it's fun and to
Yeah.
actually miss going to the gym.
And I guess the other thing would be it's okay for workouts to be easy. I used to think that if the workout felt too easy, I did something wrong. But then I've had the experience of making the workout too hard and thinking after there's no reason why the client should be feeling like they know they don't need to throw up. They don't need to like not be able to walk for like days afterward. They don't need to have back pain or neck pain or whatever kind of pain. An easy workout is fine, especially the begin.
Okay. All right. All right, Jeff, take it easy. Have a
All
good
right.
day today.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah,
All
and
right.
have a good night.